Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to Sooner Intel. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, along with my co-host, Mr. Chris Mason from the Sooners 360. We should have Kchris along shortly, but if you love college football, especially Oklahoma Sooner football, you know you're in the right place. So smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss a moment. Sooner Intel. Sorry about that, guys. Later than your ex. Yeah, listen, we were having technical difficulties. I couldn't hear him. He couldn't hear me. All kinds of fun stuff. So we're here. Sorry about that, fellas. Welcome into the show, Mr. Mason. We have a new tight ends coach. It's not Joe John Finley anymore. It is one Jason Witten, future Hall of Fame tight end from the Dallas Cowboys. What does this mean to you?
Well, can I be obnoxious for a moment?
Please do.
I believe someone named Chris Mason was calling this shot for was calling this shot pretty much for the last couple of months.
Up until yesterday, whenever you told us all about Mr. Alabama,
Well,
Mr. Obnoxious.
I was just I lost confidence because all the Oklahoma beat people were saying that it was the Alabama guy. So all right, but just
Fair enough.
fair
Fair
enough.
enough.
I think I think this on the surface of it is a great hire. This is a really very positive move. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird because the Ellis guy just got promoted to quarterbacks coach at Bama. So
Ah.
that's kind of strange. But I
Well, you
think
said
this.
he's had multiple. Now he definitely has had
Yeah.
multiple.
Oh, yeah. Not that he can't coach quarterbacks. He certainly has that experience, but it's just kind of a strange coincidence that OU went this direction and he shifted jobs. So, but overall, I think this is a good hire. When you If you want to put the Hall of Fame Dallas Cowboy elite Ring of Honor kind of guy to the side and
Yeah.
just look at what he's been doing lately, he's been coaching for the last 5 years in the Dallas area, high school kids. So he's been coaching this age group that OU will want him to coach at, and his team there. I think their first year they were like 2-8, and then his second year, ever since his second year, they've either been champions or runners up in their district. So he's doing something right, and he's coaching that team up somehow. So I think that's all big. There's a couple of people floating around. I'm not sure how much I trust them, but I think it's an interesting anecdote that said that when Witten was with the Raiders, he was basically functioning as a mentor coach. Wasn't playing that much. He was really coaching up their tight ends.
Yeah. Well, and something that I noticed, when he had that short stint as like a color guy, which I don't think they really felt like he was great at that part. But
He didn't
what
like it either.
I saw some things. I saw a lot of things. When they have their pre-production meetings and things like that, where he was getting super in depth with, the strategy of the offense and what it was that they were trying to do. And I mean, I forget what the show was, but I mean, I was impressed by the conversation. He certainly was like a second quarterback out on the field that kind of knew everything that they were looking at and what they were trying to do. He was always kind of considered a smart player. Tough was always part of it as well. But I would just tell you that I think that this is. I would probably say maybe it's risky, except for the fact that you still have Kevin Wilson around to kind of help him become the kind of coach I think that you wanted to be. Recruiting wise, I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. I think that you probably end up feeling or seeing a DeMarco type.
There's a bump coming.
Yeah, listen, I think that with DeMarco, he gets the attention of each and every running back that they target.
Yeah.
There's no way that you're a Dallas Cowboys fan or a fan of the NFL and you don't know who Jason Witten is. End of story.
Yeah, and if if you don't know, I think he can just say, "Yeah, just Google me." He can do the Signetti line, right? Just
Well, if the
Google.
kid doesn't know who he is, I promise you his dad does.
Exactly. Just talk to your dad about it. Got an older brother, ask him, or you can Google me and get back to me. But I think as you said, I think that's an underlooked factor is if there is any adjustment to coaching the tight ends in the college game, Kevin Wilson.
What? What?
I don't know, but I think Kevin Wilson can mentor Witten or guide Witten through any of the mechanics that he's missing. And I'm not really sure what those would be, but Wilson can certainly say, "Hey, if you're having any questions about the mechanics of this, let me know. I'll walk you through what we do as how to coach tight end at the college level."
Sure, and I think again, as you said, if he was doing that, you could picture John Gruden doing that with him with the Raiders, right?
Yeah,
Was Gruden already there? I think he was, wasn't he?
that's probably right. I wouldn't swear on it, but that sounds correct. Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, yeah, and like Logan's saying here, he's already contacted the numerous number one
Yeah.
tight ends in the 2027 class.
I know you've got two high end tight ends that they brought in for unofficial visits. They love Norman, and Nagy's been working them heavily in the front office, and now they can kind of turn him over to Jason Witten. And
Sure,
I'm not going to steal anybody's content, but Parker Thune was able to talk to a Seneca Driver, top 5, top 10 tight end in the country, top 100 player. I've talked about him on my recruiting podcast a number of times. He's a Jermaine Grisham type, if you're wondering when we could ever get a Jermaine Grisham type guy again, Seneca Driver's it. And he has an unbelievable quote about this transition, and I'm not going to spoil it, but let's just say it's kind of one of those. It's oh my god, that's a great quote, and then you're reminded of a little bit of the fact that we've been anchored with Joe John Finley, and from a recruiting and a portal recruiting standpoint. You just see Hayden Hanson's response on Twitter for this hire, and then you hear Tyler Ruxer, Ryder Mix, Rocky Beers. I mean, they're all loving the shit out of this hire and this upgrade. I mean, this is, if you're Tyler Ruxer, who's a very good receiving tight end at a high school, and you have Jason Witten now who can guide you in making that progression to be an NFL type player. I'm just not going to steal Parker's information. He worked hard for it. It's behind their paywall. I will tease it. So if you want to go look at it, at some point, some message board will cut and paste it. So I don't need to do that. But I'm just saying that when you hear the excitement and the quotes from guys, it's obvious that this has a bang to it. This has a pop. And
Sure.
when you think about the fact that he's going to be, when you think about can he translate what he's doing, what his knowledge to other kids? Well, he's already doing that as a high school coach.
He's coaching in high school, so there's more. Again, he's been successful enough to be a high school coach for this amount of time in the DFW area. Obviously, he's got the other part of it. I don't think that we can discount is the fact that he has a 5-star linebacker son who is now, obviously been crystal balled to come to Oklahoma. I would guess that should be a locked in deal. Welcome into the show from the Horns Down podcast, our friend Kchris Griffin. Chris, what's your thoughts there on Jason Witten?
Just the fact that you have another person that obviously you combine his star power with the OU brand. He can go into any house, any in-person visit, in-home visit or whatever with any kid. He can go to a lot of different places. This is similar to what, kind of like with Jamar Cain, right? Basically just spoiling that person, right? As far as that coach, Jason Witten's going to come in here and he's going to be tough nosed. He's going to teach these kids. I think that he's going to be really good. It's going to take some time just to see what kind of coach is he at this level or whatnot. But I think that he has guys around him that will make sure that he progresses very quickly. But again, it's just a guy that,
his newbie coaching might be better than what we've been seeing. So
exactly. I'm for me, like I told my uncle today, I'm really excited for kids like Rocky Beers and the Hanson kid who were willing to take a chance on OU. And you told them 4 months ago, hey, I'm gonna be coached by Jason Witten. They probably would have been like, yeah, no. But no, I think that it's a guy that, like my uncle described him as a guy that earned his way. DN that turned converted to a tight end at Tennessee, and the rest is history, right? So he's a guy that I think comes in here, can level with the kids, can make things easier, but also demand a lot from these kids as well right off the bat. So hearing a lot of good things about him, just the fact that he's already active. So I'm just excited about it. It's not just because obviously we want his son in his next year's class, but at the same time, I think you're getting what could potentially be a really good coach. So I'm sure Chris Mason has sang his praises as well. So shout out to Chris Mason as well for even dropping those hints on the pod, but especially off the pod in the green room after. As we talked about quite a lot of things, and this was something that happened. And you remember he dropped it on the pod that Witten and his son were there at the playoff game, and that there was conversations or whatnot. But again, I think just a big time hire, man, big time hire.
And just, I mean, a lot of folks are like, well, OU's hiring Witten to get his son. We were getting Witten regardless. We were going to get Cooper Witten regardless from a recruiting standpoint. So
he's been pretty much considered a lock for the better part of 2 years. I mean, he's spent, how many times has he been in Norman? Like damn near every damn home game.
He's been to at least 3 home games. He's been at OU summer camps. He's at junior days. OU staff has been recruiting him left and right. Brent has made him a focus. The entire staff was making him a focus. Obviously, there's a Tennessee connection, but OU's been pretty much the leader for him, for pretty much the last year. So we didn't need to hire his coach to get him. So, and I think Witten brings, just a name brand level of when you're rebooting a room completely, right? If short of hiring Iowa's tight end coach, who might not be really a fit, for our program, but short of hiring somebody like that has like 5, first round draft pick tight ends, pelts on the wall.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, short of hiring a guy like that, the name brand value that Witten brings to our room that's been bad is huge. I mean, it's a massive value for us in terms of from that perspective. He gives us some gravitas at the position that was basically dead in the water.
Yeah.
I mean,
you weren't even getting in the room with people anymore at this point.
No, you mean Nate Roberts is at Ohio State, Cooper Alexander is at Iowa State.
Nate Roberts, who went to Norman North.
Yep. Cooper Alexander's at Iowa State, and we didn't get a shot at Lincoln Cure, who's at K-State, and we did get a shot at the Brom kid, who's at Tennessee. I mean, these guys weren't visiting Norman. We weren't a factor in these recruiting battles for regional top tight ends. And I think I think it's a huge move. And we've got we do have a guy on campus who is a superb athlete who they're trying to see if he can be a tight end or not. That's Trinae Washington. He's 6'5", 240. He has speed. He has every elite athlete box he checks it. Well, now we have a guy who I honestly feel like could mentor and mold him into an elite tight end. You just didn't think, you had no confidence that was going to happen with Joe John Finley. I hate being that negative, but I'm just saying what we all think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what our fan base thinks. And this change, I think, you're just flushing a lot of negativity out, and you're bringing in somebody who, as you said, there is a risk factor. He's not a 10-year college tight end, but I think at the tight end position, if he was our quarterback coach and he'd only been coaching high school, I think you might be a little more concerned. But at tight end, I think you can leverage everything he has to, and the fact we've got Kevin Wilson, as you said, in the background as a mentor coach for him to help him with any of the technical details that maybe he's missing from a college coaching aspect.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, I think that in view of the fact of the guys that you have on staff, with Kevin Wilson being as accomplished as he is as a tight end coach, I mean, he taught Joe John, he taught Jermaine Gresham, among others. And plus being the architect of probably the greatest Oklahoma offense ever. I would say that that's one of those. It's a good deal here, and again, with the recruiting bump that you're going to see, I think that that's just a matter of. I think it was a good move. I understood if they went the other way because somebody that had more experience or whatever like that. But in my opinion, you can't really miss here. I just don't really think that you can miss. Go ahead, Chris. It looks like you wanted to say something. Okay, Chris.
You're on.
You're muted, I think.
My bad. No, I was just piggybacking what you're saying. This is the type of splash move that Nagy and BV would like to make. I think BV is fine without all the cameras and all the rest of this stuff, but especially on the Nagy side of things, I think this is right up his alley. And this is something that I think was probably, collectively heard and, was just like, hey, if it can happen, we can do it. But why would you not want to go and do it? As much crap as we give DeMarco, and rightfully so, there have been times where the running game has not been the issue at all. Now, can't say that in the past couple of years, but there's been some running backs that DeMarco has had in whatever offense he's been given, the keys to as far as being the running backs coach, where the running backs perform really well. But there are those times. But again, that experiment has worked with him. Obviously, we know DeMarco is DeMarco. NFL DeMarco, OU DeMarco, whichever one you want to say, dude is him, right? But with Witten, I think that it's I don't necessarily think it's a high risk, high reward. I think it's a safe risk, and you just kind of see what you get from it.
Yeah,
right?
it's a limited risk, right? I don't think that it's a huge risk. I think that I start off saying you might classify this as a risky move. I don't know how risky I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just another example. I mean, there's a photo on Twitter of Witten's at OU practice this spring standing next to Nagy, and they're reviewing OU practice. I mean, this is how often Witten was in Norman looking at practice, bringing his guys to practice, So I think there's also a Nagy element of this where he's like, I think from his pro perspective, he's kind of like, well, this makes all the sense in the world. And we should pull the trigger on this now, and because we're not going to keep him more than a couple of years before, some bigger pro aspirations perhaps go his way, and that's fine if he rebuilds our room, and the room's clicking at a high level, and then he leaves after a couple of years, and we hire somebody else. That's all good by me. I just think it's been a week of efficiency and execution from our front office staff, portal wise, and to me, if the Bama guy did say no, OU didn't even blink. They redirected to Jason Witten and got a contract signed immediately.
Well, according to what Stoy has said on his story, it was always Jason Witten.
Yeah, so if that's the case,
I guess he called Wednesday night and told BV that he'd take the job. So apparently, it's been out there for. I mean, the offer's been there. What's up, Coach Carl? Good to see you, man. So apparently, the offer's been on the table, at least for a day or so.
Yeah. So it looks like again, it's just efficiency and execution, right? If this is the guy they really wanted, they got him, and no one knew they were doing it, right? If for some reason the Bama thing was in play and it didn't look like it was going somewhere, they aggressively redirected and got the guy they wanted and didn't screw around or mess around with what they wanted to do. So caught everybody a little bit, looking in the wrong direction, and maybe that's Nagy and working for that. That's maybe the way he's going to operate. I mean, he's been catching George Story has been doing a great job trying to cover the portal stuff, but even George is like, guys on campus, I didn't even know he was being on campus. So Nagy is working at a. I called him the stealth bomber. We kind of laughed about it, but this is kind of what's going on, right? I mean, I know Brent probably had complete sign off on this and was like, yes, I want to do this, but we know that Nagy negotiated the nuts and bolts of this, along with Stevenson making sure that everything from a due diligence standpoint was being taken care of, right? Okay, well, this all makes sense, but from an you always keep you always got to have HR keep cover your ass, right, and do some, especially the state university. After the Sharon Moore thing, maybe Michigan should have done a little more due diligence before naming him as head coach. I'm not blaming anybody there, but it's just an example of why sometimes things take a couple of days, and you need oversight, right? Someone at Stevenson's level over Nagy saying, "Yeah, I want the background check to go another level on this, please." From that standpoint, you just need people to stop you from making. Sometimes you need oversight to stop you from making bad decisions, and I think Brent could have used Nagy and Stevenson when he did the Luttrell hire. He should have had somebody above him who had oversight to say, no, you need to go interview 3 other offensive coordinators, big name guys. And if you need the names, I'll have a search agency give me the names tomorrow. Something like that. I think now we have it's nice to have oversight over what Brent is doing in a way to make sure the best decisions are being made.
Yeah.
And this is another example of, if this was, this is another example. I mean, you can punch. The only thing you'd say is he hasn't coached tight ends on the college level. All right. Joey McGuire, never coached on the college level. So.
Yes, he did. He was coaching with Matt Rule for 5 years before he got that job.
Was he? Okay. All right. But he jumped from high school. But he jumped from high school to college. So at some point you got to make that jump, right? So it has to happen sometimes.
So you coach. You're either a coach or not a coach. And I would go back to that and say I think that he's a coach. He's proven he's a coach. He's been coaching. He's not just coaching tight ends as the head coach at a DFW, private school.
He's not DeSoto's tight end coach. He was the head coach of a team.
Yeah, of a program. So I think again I don't think it's totally foreign to him. He's played at the highest level. We're talking about a Hall of Fame caliber player. He should be able to show you how to do it. You know what I mean? And again, as I said, watching him in those pre-production meetings and stuff like that, he had no shortage of knowledge about what was going on and what they were trying to get across to the audience. At ESPN or whatever. So I think it's going to work itself out. Welcome into the show, Goated, No Faking Sports, Mars Jams. Dave's here. Let's see, Chuck Kearney, James Thrice. Folks, everybody who's coming in, Legend, My Gun Sweetness, Jimmy Satterfield, all you guys, appreciate everybody for coming in. Make sure that you are sharing the channel. Make sure you're liking all 3 streams here as well. No Faking Sports, welcome in, Scott Walker. We'd appreciate that. I am right around 100 away from 5,000. Damn, it would be good to get to that 5,000 mark, man.
That's a big mark.
One of those benchmark spots that you just can't wait to hit that point. So appreciate everybody that's here. Mars Jams, Brandon Snake, Neelio, all our guys. As always, Sooners to win. Yeah. Listen, continue about this heater. We talked about this yesterday on the morning show, Mr. Mason. I know you guys had another one last night. You guys have been rolling every night for about a week. So shout out to you guys for all the portal intel that's been going on. What are we hearing today? What's the news aside from the Jason Witten hire? I mean, and I think that obviously helps with the 2027 class with his son, but what else are we talking? I mean, what else are you seeing, and what are you expecting? Anything more here in the last week or so of this thing being open?
OU's got a couple of offensive linemen they're trying to bring in. I think OU's got a defensive tackle kind of conundrum with the portal. From that aspect, Marcus Strong ended up at Clemson. which I found very interesting from that aspect. I mean, if you notice that I don't mean this in the way, but the players we consider that have hit the portal that OU doesn't need any longer, they're finding good landing spots, much better than the last group of OU players who left. You remember when sort of Brent in 2023 kind of cleaned up the roster, and we were losing kids going to like Texas State, Tarleton, and just dropping a level. I mean, Tatum went to Michigan today. Howland went to Virginia Tech. Our guys are finding, the guys that can't be starters here are getting good landing spots, relatively good landing spots for themselves there, much higher than we'd seen in the past. But I think, Jason and Chris, the big question is OU needs a third defensive tackle to replace Strong. And the problem going to the portal is that everybody needs D-line. And OU just can't sign some guy because and spend a lot of money on him. And then after spring, Nigel Smith and Trent Wilson put him on the bench and he never plays. I mean, hell, James Carrington and Brian, I'm forgetting his last name, the defensive tackle, the freshman, is coming in, Brian Harris. They could put that guy on the bench. And you've spent all this money sitting on the bench for this guy that really isn't that good. And our freshmen and our redshirt younger guys just put him on the bench because they're extremely talented. So the question is, and I'll give a number example just to get a little more apt, to get a little more concrete. Like, do you spend $400K on a guy that you're concerned won't really contribute for you? Or do you spend $800K to get a guy will be in your top 3, top 4 rotation? And I think that's the problem and the conundrum OU's trying to deal with from a budget and standpoint. And to put a name next to this, James Smith from Alabama hit the portal. 6'3", 310 defensive tackle. If you added him to OU, to Jaden Jackson and David Stone, you'd probably have the 3 best defensive tackle rotation in the SEC, maybe in the country. I mean, that's just facts. But can you spend that money? And you're also trying to, upgrade things in other places as well. I think you want to give Jason Witten some money at tight end to go get a third tight end and to call some of the best tight ends that have hit the portal and say, hey, I know you were thinking, Joe John, I'm the new tight end coach at Oklahoma. I'm Jason Witten. You come here, I will teach you all you need to be an NFL first-round draft pick at tight end. You have the talent. And he apparently, according to George Stoyer, he's reached out to, I think it's Andrew Golish, who just hit the portal from Penn State, 6'5", 235, and just an elite-looking kid who has years to play. So I think you want to have some money for that. I think a safety probably makes sense after losing Jaden Hardy. And I think a linebacker probably makes sense as well with losing Sam Mosigo and no real information if you're going to get to keep Owen Heineke or not. So,
Chris Mason, we better get Heineke. If the NCAA is allowing NFL or people who attended NFL camps.
Well, it was an NBA camp. It was an NBA camp.
No shit.
No, he attended a NFL training camp.
That he did. He was in a training camp.
I thought it was an NBA training camp.
No, he was. I think he was like maybe a 2A or G League player or whatever he was. But he attended the Chargers training camp.
Okay, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's ridiculous, and he needs to sue. If not, so yes,
I think that's already something that's in the works. What bothers me is that they're taking so long to go onto this waiver thing, and there's only a few days of the portal being open left.
Yeah,
so I mean, even if you're gonna say no to him, then you ought to make it to where and like, because there's going to be not just Oklahoma that would be targeting a guy like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think
or targeting another tight end at the worst. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
not tight end, linebacker. I'm sorry.
I think you're all
linebacker.
right.
I'm still stuck on tight ends.
Well, we finally can talk about tight ends about adding tight ends without someone saying, but Joe John Finley won't develop them. We can now end that caveat required every time I tried to mention a tight end recruit Or someone would always say in a comment, well, until Joe John Finley leaves, it's kind of pointless signing a tight end. Okay, now I don't have to deal with that crap any longer. I can actually talk about tight end recruiting.
Is there something you feel like you need to get off your chest there, Mr. Mason?
I just got rid of it. I got rid of it. I mean, it's a little bit like EJ right now, right? Every time we mention a high school tight end, a high school wide receiver, OU's looking at, someone's always going to bark back at me in a comment.
Listen, if you start writing country songs about tight end coaches and shit like that, I'm going to worry about you. So,
well, I won't ever do that. But it's a little bit like EJ right now, right? It's a little bit like EJ right now. If OU OU got Jaden Petit, and I'm trying to say that, how good Jaden Petit looks, and someone doubtlessly, when I do that, will put a comment up saying, well, it doesn't matter because EJ doesn't play freshman. Okay. All right. So,
all right, get it off your chest.
I'm getting rid of that.
Here, Kchris.
It's sometimes live streams are live therapy, so that's all. That's good. But yeah, I mean, well, it's Jermaine Grisham, Brandon. But yeah, I think that's obviously what your goal is. You want to get Joe John Finley shot my dog is a good working title.
There you go. Joe John shot my dog is a good working title.
But yeah,
Kchris can help you with that.
But I think they're resetting a little bit. They've got a couple of offensive linemen coming in. I think they're kind of having some internal talks about where their wide receiver numbers coming in, because I think Giovanni Gibson leaving. Owen Long just committed to Arizona State. That's kind of a problem. Let's hope we get Owen Heineke, because that's who we would have liked to put there. Thanks, official Boomer 580. So I do think wide receiver is an internal debate, because Nagy's obviously, I've repeated this a couple times, Nagy wants high school wide receivers. He's paying NIL money to be playing and developing. And that statement was clearly distilled back to Emmett Jones in the post-Bama review sessions with the guys. Same thing on DeMarco Murray. We want our running back. We want a running back roster. We don't want to get down to 2 running backs. Same thing for DeMarco. We're doing everything we can to upgrade the running game. We need running backs to make a jump from their freshman and sophomore years.
Right, and they've got. I think that we should be good at running back, right? With your freshmen that you've got coming in, and now you've added the kid from Colorado State plus the 2 that are in there.
You've got 5.
We should have enough. Should we not?
Yeah, we've got 5 guys to play. Again, we'll see if some other running back floats at the second half of the portal. I think that's a possibility that some guys think they're going to get RB1 money elsewhere, and they're going to find that they don't have it. And maybe they decide that they want to go to OU, or OU contacts them and say, we got RB3 money for you. You can come to Oklahoma, go to spring ball, grab our starting spot if you work your ass off. And then all you got to do is defend it in the fall when Blaylock and X-Rub get healthy. Because I think Blaylock and X-Rub, if you're legitimately running, in spring, I would expect those guys to be in like orange shirts, green shirts, and doing just light running stuff, right? Knee injury and shoulder injury recovery. They don't need to be in any Oklahoma drills, this spring. That's not what we need. And force feed the reps to Hatton and Walker and Devont. But if somebody else, some other feature back says, well, I can beat those guys out. Well, you got all spring to prove it. And then all you got to do is back it up in the fall if you seize the job in spring, from that standpoint. But I do think there's some wild stuff going on in the portal with Texas. There's a lot of Texas top-end freshmen, sophomores hitting the portal. It's very odd. There's a lot of there's like the lunatic fringe rumors about Texas, and then it's starting to drift to less and less lunatics.
Hey, listen, I would just be real, and Kchris, jump in here on this one, because these guys there's some problems. You're starting to hear them talk like, about how, I don't know why we would want to spend this money. This sounds like a football program who's starting to get donor fatigue because they haven't gone and won a national championship, and they came into this season with the number 1 ranking, and they didn't even make the playoff.
Kchris
This
Mason.
is, I mean, I don't want to hear all this whiny shit when you're lining Lambos up at recruiting events.
Kchris Mason, did I not mention that last night? Jason's exact point as
You
far
did.
as there was talk about Wingo, Colin Simmons, and some of these kids, and I cannot wait for somebody to say that I'm lying. That is perfectly fine. This was all over everywhere, boards and boosters alike. People were actually saying this stuff. Maybe. Well, I don't know. All I know is this right here is that there were issues or whatnot as far as NIL. Not necessarily that Texas doesn't have the money, but Texas doesn't want to spend the money because they're getting the same result, right? It was a bit of fatigue from we made the semifinals. What is it going to take? Is it just going to be the same thing every single year, right? But
Right.
I will say this right here. Now the angle, now the news is that Texas is tired of paying money for future development of the sideline grass, and they want production now, current production. So they're
Except
swinging.
that they're missing out on all these portal targets that they don't want to pay for.
It's not that they're not even trying to pay for it. I think that I do believe the word that's going around is that a lot of these kids are using Texas as the leverage to stay where they're at and get more money. Right? They're in a good situation. Why would I leave a good situation to go there? Right? So it's one of those things where it's a lot of confusion going around. I don't know what's going on. There's the lunatic side and there's the calm side and then there's the this. But the calm side, they may just be as crazy as the lunatic side because you're sitting there saying, why there is no way that Sark is going to gut this team like it's what is happening, not keeping all the continuity of this team. You could say, oh, these pieces, this, and that. These guys were young guys, right? Yeah, you graduated some guys, but these were young guys.
I mean, the Umazulu kid they're losing was a productive redshirt freshman defensive end for them. I mean, the French kid was a 5-star wide receiver, and maybe they
Yeah,
cut
I mean,
his
we're talking about
NIL. He cut his NIL, but it's messy. And then you keep hearing the Falcon stuff just is like firing away left and all over the place. The Raiders,
Miami.
it's all firing around all over the place, and so they're having a weird off season. I mean, it's the Chappelle meme, right? You hate to see it, but you love to see it.
They
It's
You love to see it, but you love to see it is
they
better.
it's a must. They cannot leave this portal cycle without having Cam Coleman as a Longhorn.
they
Like
can't. It's a bit abject failure,
failure.
and it looks like
No
they
doubt. And
may,
I mean,
they
they're even losing. They win and go and get a new defensive coordinator and why I have no idea because PK they've been carrying Sark's ass for 3 years on the defensive side of the ball.
That's a fact right there.
I know that's a fact. I'm aware. I'm just saying they've been carrying that, but now you bring in a guy like Will Muschamp, and all of a sudden you're losing guys on that side of the football too. And I think that there's more smoke than there is. I mean, there's more than just smoke here. There's a lot of fire going on. And are we seeing fatigue to the point that because they don't believe in Sark anymore? Is that what this is?
I don't know, but you're talking about I mean they should be primed for a big season, right? But they're not. I mean they're not doing anything about. I mean they're
To hear the fan base tell it after the way they kind of beat up on Michigan at the end of the game, they're coming into the season hot and ready, be ready for us to be number one again.
Yeah, I mean it's essentially. I mean, and it's a mess. The defensive coordinator thing was Sark threw PK completely under the bus when, as you said, Jason, accurately, his D was holding the bag for them. I mean, completely. I mean, they had a terrible offensive year for the most part. They were lucky not to go, 7-5. I mean, they pulled out the Kentucky and Mississippi State games from like nowhere, really. It was really only Kentucky and Mississippi State giving those games away. From that standpoint, it's a mess. And then you got the pro stuff, and you're hearing that Sark doesn't like NIL that much, and it's all going very, it's all going pear shaped. I mean, and then if Sark goes pro, and there's enough pro jobs out there, and somebody will hire him because they think he'll be a good pro coach. I mean, we know that the pros will kind of convince themselves of anything. It's a mess, and then they're two of their biggest portal acquisitions are defensive tackles who are 390 and 360. And one of them is like a freshman, and he enrolled in Austin. He was 295, and now he's 360. And I don't know that that's a positive, a positive move there at all from any standpoint. And then the Arkansas kid's like 380. As a Texas poster said, he's 30 pounds away from being overweight. And I don't think those guys that works. So the Michigan guys, both the Michigan offensive linemen went to Austin and then went running back to Ann Arbor. They never got Isaac Brown or Jaden Bow on campus. The Florida defensive end, Jaden.
No, they lost Jaden Ball and that defensive end, and they were freaking out on High Top last night about that happened while their stream was going on, and they were even throwing the horns down and stuff at the end of the show. I mean, this is how excited people are in the SEC right now to see them fall on their face because of all this shit they talk, and because of all this, looking down your nose at, we got all the money, we're gonna do all this, blah 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 blah. Look. Make no mistake, there's problems in Austin right now. And if just like James is saying, Sark doesn't like the NIL, bullshit. He's always loved the NIL. And again, we're talking about they've got Lambos lined up on both sides of the entrance to DKR, but just about for every recruiting
event and all that. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Recruiting event they've had in the last 3 years. And now all of a sudden we don't want to hear about it. All of a sudden we don't love what we're doing here. We don't love recruiting this way, and this isn't the way that it should be, and blah 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 blah. Hey, look, you play the game. It's not supposed to be easy. Number one, I mean, we've said this to our own fans a million times. It's not supposed to be easy, but it ain't never going to get cheap again. And this idea, Chuck, I don't agree with you on that. College football has been destroyed. Go look at the viewing numbers says otherwise, big guy. The viewing number says otherwise, and the amount of money being dished out to all these big conferences says otherwise as well. So, you don't have to like it, but you better get on board or just stop watching.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Jason. It's not going the other direction, right? It's the genie's out of the bottle. We're not going back to the days of. We're not going back to 2017 or whatever date you'd like to choose, right? It's post-COVID, NIL, where this is the reality we're in. And I think, they've been making, UT fans have been making a lot of fun of of us hiring a pro GM and having the way we're doing stuff. I think they're going to come out of this mess and they're going to turn right around and copy us because it's clear that what we have going on from
an actual NFL front office type of deal.
Yeah, I think they've been making fun of that, and I've been seeing some Inside Texas posts where they've been posting this week like, yeah, we kind of made fun of this, and it's actually working out exactly how OU wants it to work, and this is not. And if they keep this up, this is not. We need to match this. This isn't. They're gonna get some critical bounces from this that. If we don't copy this kind of way of doing things, we may fall behind. And that's not even factoring in the 2027 high school recruiting that OU's doing right now. As I said, if you want to update on high school recruiting, I recorded a pod last night. You can find it on my YouTube channel, or you can find it on where you look at, your audio podcast platform of choice. I talk about news coming up for OU tomorrow on Saturday. Sorry, I'm losing my days of the week. OU's about to get more good news Saturday in high school recruiting. And I got a couple more probably got some more good news happening before February happens. So, yes, you beat us. I believe we're aware of that fact.
It's such a snappy comeback they have done. And it's such a snappy comeback.
Yeah, you beat us. Congratulations.
Snappy retort, buddy. Snappy retort. Let me throw that in there.
You know,
Just there for you, bud.
we're aware of that. I don't think we suddenly.
The Texas fans, going to looking for every OU pod they can find, making fun of them so they can whine and bitch about it. Especially this Texas fan. Drew's the biggest whiny bitch of the world. It's crazy stuff.
But yeah, I think
the other guys, at least, the other guys are funny and all. At least this guy just comes in whining from the second he pops.
Yeah, really. I think it's more that we're surprised they're having such a weird run of news, right? We kind of expected they were going to load up on the portal and get ready for a run because Arch seemed to be a little bit better at the end of the year. But then they changed defensive coordinators, and then they're losing personnel left and right, and there's all these complaints that they don't have any money. We're just doing a status check here. Same thing about Bama. Bama seems to be going through some kind of. They're having some really weird issues. Horton just hit the portal, so I don't know if that's because they're trying to funnel money to make the last one. Yeah,
Isaiah Horton.
Yeah, Isaiah Horton hit the portal, so I don't know if that's they're trying to make a last run at Coleman. But they're losing a lot of young defensive players and defensive personnel as well. It's a little bit strange, and it's a little bit. It seems like DeBoer doesn't quite know what to do with the roster he inherited, and he's kind of sloughing off players left and right, and kind of wants to get his guys in. And I think that's kind of problematic from a defensive standpoint because I think he was left with good defenders. I'm not sure he's adding great guys. He's getting wide receivers and quarterbacks and stuff like that. But yeah, it's across the country. There's some weird portal entries. Michigan continues to lose players, and they continue to add Utah Utes. So it's we've got Jason will credit to you. The Oklahoma State Mean Green appear to be ready to take the field against the Penn State Nittany Cyclones or the Virginia Tech Nittany Hokies, whichever way you want to go.
They're wild.
It's crazy.
And again, I'll go with that. Listen, I was trying to, and shout out to Cody, and hopefully he's getting better, man. He hadn't been on this show, guys, in a month. So prayers need to continue going out to Okie like Cody, but the last I talked to him was like, look, are you guys sure that this is the way to go, is to go get the entire North Texas roster? Because not for nothing, it wasn't good enough to win the American. And I like a couple of those guys. I like Hawkins, the running back. I like Mestamaker. I think he's okay. I think he's pretty good, but I don't know that he comes in and automatically he's the best in the Big 12. In fact, I know he's not the best in the Big 12 coming in because there's a new guy out in West Virginia too. So, and I also don't think that he's better than the guy at K-State and some other places as well. So just to, Brandon Storesby, another guy you might think of.
Taking Mean Green defenders too. And I'll be like, did you watch the last game they played?
Yeah. That's the whole thing. Tulane boogered them up.
Well, then San Diego State put 52 up on them.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. I was talking about the American Championship game. It wasn't really a good game.
No,
it wasn't really a good game. So to me, it's one of them deals where, look, I think that there's programs around the country that are struggling to figure out how to do all this, and how to evolve the right way. Shout out to Seawall. I just saw him in the comments as well. Look, Dabo Swinney just went back to Chad Morris. And he's struggling. They're actually in the portal. They went and got Marcus Strong. He's going to be a Clemson Tiger next year. These are some things that some of this stuff that you just kind of look at it and you're like, damn, it is different for sure, but it's weird how many people are dragging their feet and it's costing them. And it surprises me that when you had back-to-back runs into the CFP, and they like to call it back-to-back semifinal bursts. Get the fuck out of here. But they like to call it that. And then they miss it despite being the number one team. Then now all of a sudden they're willing to just are we punting on Sark, or are we punting on the whole thing? What's going on here?
I'm just happy that it's been a stark contrast that OU has the efficacy and execution, I keep using these terms, of what Nagy did this week is a stark difference than what OU was doing last year and where OU was last year, right? Brent had a good coaching year. We had a good year on the field. The offense obviously wasn't what we wanted, but 10-2 in the playoffs. I mean, it was a massive turnaround from what we thought. And this was with, this with OU having a difficult schedule and there being some unbalance in the rest of the SEC. And OU still overcame that. Didn't really ever make excuses about it. Finished 10-2. Had a playoff game, which we don't want to talk about because I know it just bums Chris out. And he's even shaking his head right now. But OU, has a lot of momentum going in to 2026. I mean, it's just you nailed the weaknesses. The number one weakness on our whole roster, our entire fan base. If you polled them and said what needs to be upgraded the most, it would be the tight end room. And if you haven't watched Gabe and Teddy's review of Hayden Hansen, go watch it because they're practically in tears. They're so happy. I mean, and what he could do.
No, we talked about that yesterday.
What he could do, and then you talk about the fact they got this Rocky Beers kid who's also very talented, and they just brought in a brand new coach who we think can coach up the position, knows a lot of offense, knows a lot of how things should work, and we took a room we were getting 0 out of, and we've moved it to where we maybe potentially out of 10 we're going to get like 7 or 8, and that could make a big difference for OU in a lot of ways. Our running game, our passing game, our quarterback. Hopefully he'll improve with some different weapons and some more and maybe less reliance on him throwing the ball with a better running game. But it just seems like I look at where we were 12 months ago and I look at where we are right now, and it's like it sure seems like OU's making some smart off the field decisions about how they want to operate.
Yeah.
That's a great way.
Drew, Texas didn't embarrass themselves in the playoffs. Are you sure that 90-plus yard turnover for a touchdown, that didn't embarrass you? I mean, it seems kind of embarrassing. You could have went to the championship game and maybe won it. Yeah. I don't know. There is that, too. And being number one and having the Heisman favorite and all that bullshit from game one of this year and not even making the playoff, there is that. There is that.
I mean,
it's like playing wiffle ball with this guy. It's like playing fucking wiffle ball.
I mean, national disappointment lists that have been posted postseason from not OU homers, just national writers. It's pretty much Clemson, Penn State, and then Texas. I mean, you're only being saved from the top of that list because of Penn State and Clemson's meltdowns. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Drew. Got a new podcast, I guess. Drew England. Welcome in, Drew. Just coming in to promote, huh? Appreciate it.
All right. Cool.
All right.
CJ Vogel's not having a good time, and he's been posted about it. So
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Even the guys that are like pro Longhorn all day long are not really able to say that it's not.
I'm surprised
really bad.
I felt like calling in a health, a mental health check-in, emergency services call on Ketch, a wellness check-in based upon the kind of week he's been having.
Ketch lately. Yeah.
I mean, it's there, but I mean,
guy.
All right. So, Chris, Jason, I've had a chance to talk to you both about the portal stuff separately. We've done shows. Is there anything that you guys want to, any player that you're just like, you want to kind of, maybe talk to each other a little bit about, sort of the strategy thing that changes? I think to me, it's Hansen and Beers that are going to be, that's where I see the big upgrade. I think the wide receivers could be huge too, but to me, it's taking the tight end room from 0 to maybe a 6 or a 7. That's the big difference. But Jason, is there anything from the portal you'd like to talk to Kchris about from what OU's been added?
No, I mean, I think we've kind of brought it up, most of it. I mean, I guess like I asked you a second ago, I'm not sure What else? I mean, where else you go from here? Are you looking to add that one more defensive line guy? I would guess. I don't know that it's. I mean, is there anybody else that they would probably try to make a move at if you could? Are you looking for maybe one more weapon on the offensive side and one more lineman on the offensive side? What are you trying to hammer it home with?
Chris, where would you if I only gave you two more players to spend significant money on, not some Nagy find from, and Nagy's finding some guys from some, the App State offensive lineman, for example, was visited today. There's another guy from Wichita State, some 6'6", 320-pound offensive lineman who's got a bunch of SEC offers. I know you've offered him, brought him in, but Chris, if I told you that I've got a significant pool of money and I'm going to cut it in half, what two positions would you try and spend that to bring in the best kids you could for that money?
You talking about on the offensive side of the ball?
Just total for the team. You're looking at where we are right now.
I was asking him offense. I know where he's headed. Yeah, go ahead.
So I would say, if we were Chris Mason, to your point, I would say, yeah, D tackle for sure. Gotta get that third guy in there. Even though I think that we have some guys that are hungry and they're going to be out there doing it with Nigel Smith and Trent Wilson and so on and so forth. But excuse me. If I had to say just offensive side of the ball, Jason, I would say wide receiver, probably at least one more wide receiver, maybe kick the tires on one kid, and then also running back. I'd like to see us fill that room out with 6 and see if we can get somebody that we say, hey, we just need to get him in here for winter workouts all the way up to fall camp, and we think we could possibly get something out of this kid. Maybe he can crack the rotation or whatnot, or be somebody that, hey, we can count on if X-Rob, Blaylock, and all the rest of them are still, healing up or whatever the case may be. It'd be nice to see that, but that's where I would go.
Okay. Yeah.
So, Jason, same question to you. Who would you take?
An offensive guard. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was headed. I figure you want to, if anything, what you want to do is make sure that you add some depth at the offensive line position, and particularly, I don't know if it's just at guard, but I would say any depth is good depth, especially with the way that how big Bill is. He doesn't mind moving guys around to different spots and playing them throughout the line. So. Drew adds 3 more offensive linemen, 1 wide receiver, maybe another linebacker. Does it feel like the linebacker position is about where they're going to be on it now with Sullivan in the fold? And it feels like you like I feel like Heineke's probably going to be back, and even if he isn't, I feel like that they like what they have behind them in the young guys.
They like Nesta a lot, so they kind of viewing him as maybe having a Taylor Wine kind of breakout season. So I think that's the case, and then you've got Sullivan and Kip as kind of your as your primary. So the only question is, if you don't get Owen back, who's your 4th linebacker in that rotation? And I think that's where I would like for them to add, and it doesn't have to be spend a lot of money. Find a value linebacker you can with maybe a couple of years, plug him in. And then, but we don't know how they view Taylor Wine. Where is he going to be? Because he's also got some experience. You can put him at will linebacker and at Cheetah. Sure. So, I don't. That's something to figure out.
In Satana, though, is that still? They feel like that's a done deal, and they just haven't announced it. What's going on?
I think it's a done deal with Kip. I think Satania's just still a little bit. He's definitely leaning to coming back, but his agent's getting probably. We know that the agents are kind of getting told what they want to hear from various sources right now with some mock drafts and some stuff. I think he needs to return. I think he needs to look at Zachariah Branch entering. Yeah, he did throw. Carson Black did throw his first pick of the game.
Carson Black.
I do think that's I think he should look at the fact Zachariah Branch just went in the draft, and Zachariah just took any chance he would have ever been in the first round pick. because I think Branch is going to like combine the crap out of that, and he's going to post like some ridiculous, 4.3 sub 4.4 kind of time, which I'm not sure. And Satania can be there too, but I just think Branch has a little more, just has a little more wiggle, just has a little more explosiveness than what Satania showed this year. So I think it's possible that Satania is ruminating on it a little bit, or his agents are saying maybe we should make a move. Maybe we, OU just added 2 receivers. Maybe you're going to get the ball less. We'll see what happens there. But I think OU believes they're going to work through both of those issues, and they're coming back. So the key question then is Owen Heineke at linebacker. I mean, Marcus James, somebody asked about him. He's a wild card, right? He redshirted. He enrolled late. He hit spring, and all of a sudden he's picking up linebacker. Physically, he may be the best linebacker on the roster. I mean, he's an absolute monster at 6'4", 235, with his agility and explosiveness. I mean, if he's picking stuff up quickly, no one's gonna, he's gonna vault almost anybody for playing time. So I think it's a question though. The 4 walking into next year potentially with 4 senior linebackers wasn't going to work. And then Kobe went to Northwestern, which I hope Kobe has a great year, but I hope Kobe gets his master's from Northwestern and whatever he wants. So he's got like a year and a half to go get a master's at Northwestern.
That was a surprise. I think everybody obviously automatically pointed to Texas Tech, but now all of a sudden I don't necessarily disagree with the move.
It's a great move. I mean, he's a run stuffer. Northwestern wants to get into rock fights with people in the Big 10.
Well, on top of that, they have one of the best journalism schools. Maybe that's where he's headed. It's a fantastic education.
And he's graduated from OU, so he's enrolling in a master's program. And Northwestern's graduate programs are phenomenal, just in general.
You could do worse. You could definitely do worse.
You could do a lot worse. So I think Kobe did a good job. And Sam O, just, once they got Sullivan, I think he saw his playing time and snaps decrease. And someone's going to pay Sam O a lot of money. He'll be starting somewhere in the Power 4 this fall. I mean, he will be once he hits the portal officially. But it's just, I think they need this whole Heineke waiver thing. You just need it resolved one way or the other, right? Can we get an answer on this? And I swear, I think Heineke may just say, screw it. I'm going to go to the Senior Bowl, prep and get ready for the combine, and go be a second, third round pick. Because
Miami almost put that game away right there with the interception and just blew it. So, yeah, that was, oh my gosh, what a great game! We're missing a pretty good game. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Or we good? We've been going for over an hour.
Yeah, let's. So obviously, Chris, you think Miami? We both chose Ole Miss pregame. What do we think about tomorrow night? I'm going to go with Indiana over Oregon.
I'm going to go with Dan Lanning. I'm going to say he definitely wins whatever line race he's going to win before the game. I think that I think we're going to get it done.
And
it's a good game. I think it's a good game.
I think that talent-wise, we've talked about this before. I think talent-wise, I don't think it's a question who's better. But when you start looking at what Indiana is, how well they're coached, but how much experience these guys have playing football and how efficient they are, it's tough to pick against them, man. I got to go with Indiana on this one. And it's tough to do. I'd like to see Oregon win it because I'm kind of sick of it. I feel like, I guess the reason I want to see Oregon win it is because I think either team that wins tonight can beat them easier, I guess.
Okay.
I'm sick of the Big Ten talk. Really sick of the Big Ten talk. So,
well, it didn't help that they took Bama to a just they
dumped. I mean, that's all right. I mean, look, I don't think any SEC fan of a program aside from Bama has a big problem with seeing Bama get the shit beat out of them because we've been watching them win for a while, right?
That's certainly true, but I think you're right.
I'm sick to death of this Big Ten bullshit because they're talking about their bowl records, which nobody gives a shit about. But never mind the fact that their bowl record is bolstered by a bunch of G5 wins. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear about it. It's just it's a lot of smoke and mirrors and bullshit stuff. And so them winning a third straight championship is not what I want to see. And the other part is that they talk about, well, you had 5 teams in and you only got the 2 teams left that are playing each other tonight. Well, that's because you've already had, leading up to this, you had 4 meeting each other. You've now 4 of the 5 have met in this playoff. So, you're knocking each other out of the game. So I don't really want to. I don't really want to hear about all that stuff. It's just getting stupid at this point.
I tell you what, if you want entertainment value, Ole Miss Oregon would be an old-fashioned entertaining shootout.
Shit, yeah, it would be, because they both throw amazing balls. They both are. Yeah, listen, I think that they're the best quarterbacks. I know you got the Heisman winner in there. I think he's efficient. I don't think he's great.
Yeah.
But
I just think you watch them and you could see, Chambliss goes on a heater and Dante Moore's spinning the ball, and we could have a classic shootout final. I mean, I think that's
it could be. We've got a 4th down situation here. I mean, oh man,
you're ahead of me. So,
sorry.
So, Kchris, and you got anything else? Any other words of wisdom for us about this big week for OU?
Nah, man, just excited about the prospects, man. We have a chance to walk in. We're going to walk into next season a top 10, probably a top 10 team or so, and I think deservedly so. I think that it's just now time to go and put in the work. But we're not done yet. I think there's still a couple more moves to be made in the portal. But once that's done, then we can kind of, focus in on this team, what's going to happen and what you're going to be able to do. But they made some big time additions in the portal because they went out there and they got, what I've been saying, if you've been watching our recruiting pods, they got some keys to unlock this offense, I believe. So it's really, it boils down to, we could talk about all day. It boils down to Mateer and Arbuckle, what they want to do. But at the same time, it can be a lack of trying, because Nagy is going out there and getting guys. And I think that the shift in the mindset that Chris Mason has been screaming about this entire time, which is develop your young wide receivers, develop your young guys. I think that
I to hear a lot of that shit going on, because he's, you're hearing that he's kind of sick of, paying a lot of money for these wide receivers out of high school and they never get on the field. Yeah. I would agree with that. The other thing I would agree with, I think that he's shown, look, if you're not finding a way to make what they've done in the portal matter, which is sitting down with Kevin and Buck and those guys, and let's find a way to run the damn football. Yeah. And because if you're not noticing, the teams that are left run the fucking ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think all those. So I'm definitely with you, Chris, about all that. And one last thing for you guys. OU offered a 2026 kid today.
Yeah.
So OU's not done with high school recruiting. So I've been telling everybody that the past several years, Brent has basically ignored the February signing day. That's the last chance Nagy has to update or improve the roster for 12 months until December signing day.
Yeah.
11 months. So I don't think he's going to walk away from, if he has some gems that his guys have found in senior film, that guys he could get low NIL money and park for 2 years and help, I think we may see a couple of guys sign in February, especially maybe a big tight end guy that they can develop, someone who's just maybe a basketball guy who's, I want to switch to football. I'm 6'8", but, I'm not good enough to be, I'm not good enough. But, and they look, well, he's really athletic, and we could put 30, 40 pounds on this kid.
I feel like you're going to take another step. I mean, at worst, take another step forward on the defensive side. So, again, I just want to see you load up with dudes that you in a scheme that you can run off tackle with. And I mean, I think that the tight ends that we've seen them go get, they're big. They're big, they're heavy. They can catch balls too, but they seem to be the type that you can line up and run off tackle with and be able to be successful in that way. If they're not working on that stuff, then we got a problem. right? You know, it's I just think it's a problem. So because look, if you're not watching this college football playoff right now with an eye on, man, Oklahoma could be right here.
Yeah.
We're not that far away. We are a consistent running game.
But that makes it even more excruciating what Chris and I watched in the stadium that night.
I understand, but but the one thing I would say is that Jim Nagy's being very explicit about what he's paying for and the results he expects. This is the oversight that I think we're kind of looking for. Brent, I want you to get in a film room with Wilson, Arbuckle, all the brains that you have, and I want you to come back with some plans on how we're going to update our running game. Because I just spent a whole bunch of cash on 2 big tight ends. I do not want to see them on the fucking sideline and us going 5 wide.
Agreed. Or if we're doing a bunch of wide out stuff without tight ends, you better still be running it. Got to run the ball downhill, man. Let's see what you can do with that. If you can make sure that you're running it 55% of the time and not with your quarterback.
Right.
If you have a run game that you're a 55% of the time running team, you're going to help your quarterback by doing that too.
Yeah,
you're going to help your quarterback. It doesn't hurt anybody,
whoever he is. But yeah, I think that's the. But like I said, I think we may see some
Cowboys. I'm kind of with you there. I cringed a bit when he said that.
I did not say those words. I did not use those words.
Yeah, you kind of did. You know, synonyms notwithstanding. Synonyms notwithstanding.
We are increments of measure closer. No, sorry, we were increments of measure.
We don't want to hear that shit. I just muted you for a reason. All right, you can unmute. I'm just messing with you. All right, guys. Anything else you guys want to add there? I'm just fucking with you, man.
No, just if you'd like to watch an old school hat day recruiting announcement, watch the Navy game on Saturday. May see 2 of them, 2 kids reach for a hat, and I don't know what hat they'll reach for first, but the hat they really mean to choose should be Oklahoma. So awesome. If that interests you, great. If not, then just wait for the Monday recruiting update with Chris and I and my Wednesday pod. You'll have all that news ready for you.
Right on. Okay, Chris, send us out of here.
All right, people, let's go watch some football and let's watch Texas pitch and complain. Let's go.
Horns down.